Okay, I'm so excited. I've got Drew Manning here with me. This guy is amazing. He's such an inspiration. He's going to share a little bit about his story. He essentially, on purpose, gained 75 pounds in 6 months and then lost it just to really delve deep into what that would feel like, right? And how that would impact your life. So
yeah, and to step into the shoes of my clients, because I've never been overweight a day in my life. And here I was, someone who had never been overweight a day in their life, trying to help people who had been overweight every day of their life. Mm-hmm. And what did I know about being overweight? So I figured this would give me a better understanding, which it totally did. It was so humbling. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I realized how wrong I was in my approach to helping people. And so I gained 75 pounds in 6 months, which was so hard for me on so many levels. And luckily I lost it. But the biggest thing I took away from it was how much of transformation is mental and emotional. Before, I used to think it's so physical, like, hey, eat less and work out. What's wrong with you? It's not that hard, you just do it. Until I went through this experience and realized how wrong I was. And so I'm a big believer that people that can't have a tough time transforming, it's more so on the mental and emotional challenges versus lack of knowledge on the physical side.
Okay. Yeah. So I know we're going to talk about some of the tools and strategies you use, but let's just delve a little bit deeper into that. So what do you mean, like, what helped you get through the emotional challenges, or what do you recommend for people that are stuck?
That's a good question. So one of the things that I realized when I transitioned from eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Mountain Dew and macaroni and cheese for 6 months, and then trying to eat healthy again, those first 2 weeks sucked really bad. Those first 2 weeks were hell. My body was going through serious withdrawal symptoms of wanting the high that it had from that food for the past 6 months. And my eyes were open to, this is what my clients have been telling me when I would give them a meal plan and expect them to be perfect at it. Your body fights back in a way, if you've been eating that way for so long. And I didn't realize how powerful the emotional connection to food really is. And this really taught me that.
Yeah, well, and I mean, sugar is as addictive, if not more than cocaine, we've learned, right? So it's not, like you said, it's not just physical and, eat right and go to the gym. There's literally these chemical addictions that we've created. Yeah.
And you can't just willpower your way through it. And just like you wouldn't tell a drug addict, like, hey, just stop doing drugs. And so for me, the biggest things that I found that have worked for clients to overcome those emotional challenges is accountability and a support system. And what that does is, if you find the right support system, what you'll get is a balance of encouragement and love and empathy and people letting you know that you're worth it to keep fighting, but also a kick in the butt every once in a while, right? And so we all need that accountability. We need someone to stay accountable to, and a support system that shows up with empathy first, so we feel understood, versus judgment and hate. I feel like if that's what is people are encountering, they kind of get defensive and they pull back.
Sure, yeah, versus shame. I think shame comes up a lot.
100%. Yeah. So for me, I've learned, and this is why I'm trying to bring empathy to the fitness industry, because I think it's going to be a game changer. No one else is really talking about this. I feel like no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care first.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I live by, and I'm trying to do with my brand, this fit to fit movement. To help people feel understood, so they're more motivated to listen to the experts out there to actually make a change, versus the shame, the guilt, and the misunderstanding. And then they stay in that comfort zone of being overweight, unfortunately.
Sure, yeah. All right, so I know in order to lose the weight, you tapped into ketosis and fasting. Right? Were some of your tools. And so ketosis gets somewhat of a bad rap. And you were on a really good panel this morning, and they covered some of the main misconceptions of keto. So one of which I hear so often is the cholesterol issue, right? So if I do ketosis, is my cholesterol going to raise? And one of the most important things that you guys talked about on the panel is if you do what's called dirty keto, which is like wings and burger, almost like Atkins, right? So what people did for Atkins, ketosis is not that. It's healthy fats, mainly healthy fats, clean foods, whole foods, right? So that's the number one thing, is don't do dirty keto. And with that, then, what did you say about cholesterol? So
cholesterol is one of those tricky areas where, to be totally honest with you, we still don't fully understand cholesterol. You ask any doctor, they have a basic understanding, but the problem is that we've simplified it into good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. And if your cholesterol is high, then you're going to have a heart attack. So the misconception is, hey, if you eat fat, your cholesterol goes up, and you eat these foods that are full of cholesterol, like eggs, for example, then you're going to have a heart attack, right? And so that's the biggest misconception. And actually what's found in most people that switch over to keto when they do it, with whole foods, instead of just butter, bacon, and cheese all day long, and they do a whole foods approach, is most people will see a drop in LDL, right? And then their HDL will go up. The other thing to look at is your triglycerides. Are your triglycerides trending down, which they if you cut out sugar from your diet, your triglycerides will go down, right? And then adding in healthy fats will help your HDL rise to safe levels or good levels. And then your LDL, for the most part, isn't the end-all be-all like we think it is. Like some people think, oh, my LDL, bad cholesterol is elevated, therefore I should stop keto. That's not necessarily true. If your triglycerides are going down, your HDL is trending upwards, then you should be good. And there's a lot of other books that I can recommend, like Cholesterol Clarity is a really good one to better understand this.
The cholesterol myth.
Yes, the cholesterol myth is a great one. And then also looking at your small LDL particle sizes. That's something you can get tested, which is actually more telling of whether or not you're in danger of something like that versus just going off basic LDL.
Yep.
And there's some ways to also reduce the LDL if you are keto, and that is getting rid of processed dairy, which a lot of people overconsume on keto sometimes. So this whole foods clean keto approach is the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So particle size is really important. Hopefully they can hear us. It's kind of loud in here.
I'm pretty sure they can.
Particle size is really important, and clean keto is really important.
Yeah.
Two other things that you guys talked about that I think are really important, especially as someone who loves to work out and push my body.
Yeah.
Can you do ketosis? Can you fast while working out, right?
Yes.
Well, being someone who likes to work out hard. I love CrossFit.
Yeah.
I love HIIT workouts. I like to push the limit.
Yeah. So this is what I tell people is, I will say there is a transitionary period. Let's say you've been running off glucose for 20, 30, 40 years, and now you're trying to switch over to ketosis, and you want to keep your intensity levels doing like a CrossFit workout or like a very high glycolytic workout like that. There will probably be a different performance initially, right? And that's to be expected because you're shutting off your body's main fuel source that it's been so used to now all of a sudden, okay, where's our ketones at, and your body's not adapted yet. So there might be a different performance initially, but what I recommend is as you become more keto adapted and as you start to feel more energetic, more optimal, then that's where you up the intensity again. And there's some hacks that you can do for performance, like the targeted ketogenic diet, which I talked about, supplementing with salt before those hard workouts, right, to increase blood flow, reduce lactic acid. And those are some hacks that I've recommended for people that want to still do jiu-jitsu or CrossFit or sprints, high intensity interval training of some type, so that they can still perform at high levels. And so, yes, you can work out.
So push, yeah.
Fastest
well, and what you were saying too is that your body, when your body becomes keto adapted or metabolically flexible, basically meaning your body knows what fuel source to tap into depending on what's available, glucose or ketones. If your body's used to running on fat and then you give it some glycogen, you give it some sugar, clean sugars, like a piece of fruit or, maybe a good starch, a good salty starch before you work out. I mean, you are going to feel that and you're going to have an incredible workout. Yeah. All right. So lastly, is it too restrictive? Is ketosis too restrictive? Bad time for my SD card to run out of memory. What a bummer. I didn't even realize until I went to load the video to our YouTube channel. But good news, I can answer the third question right now. So the third question Drew and I covered was, is this lifestyle too restrictive? We both hands down agree that most people, once they get into it, definitely feel that it's not. The reason being, one of the main reasons, is that not only is once a week feast day and a diet variation encouraged, it's actually strongly urged to incorporate that. And here's why. Our hormones actually need insulin to function at their best. And so we need that higher carb day or that carb load day in order to actually thrive from this lifestyle. And so that's really important. Also, what I would add is that, the more I'm living the lifestyle of ketogenic living, diet variation, I use ketosis as a tool. I don't always stay in ketosis, and fasting. I feel so on point. I have so much energy. I feel so clear that now when I eat the other kinds of foods, that to me actually feels more like deprivation. I like to feel good. I like to have a ton of energy. And so that for me helps me stick to this lifestyle without feeling deprived. So For any other questions, I'm going to drop some information below. We'll share Drew's programs, our programs, and as always, feel free to comment below and we can answer any specific questions that you have.